Hello, Candle. So we are here. Why? Because I want to do something. And I want to do it because it's one of those things to where, not a regret, but it's one of those things that you look back on and like, I could have done better. But then you ask yourself, could I really have? So that's what this video is for. About 5 years ago now, I was a wee little freshman in college, and I was approached with the offer of giving a speech for a church for Martin Luther King Day service. And because of who approached me with the offer, I didn't say no because I respected that person. So, in my little amount of time to create, prepare, and deliver this speech, I wrote a speech, practiced it for maybe 2 days, and delivered it on that Sunday. I have video evidence of this video. And though I have not, at least I don't remember watching this video afterwards to like the full extent, because from my recollection, it was a pretty awful delivery of a speech. Even though I do recall afterwards people like saying, "Good job, that was a great speech, yada, 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 this or that, other, send me the video." I was not amused with my performance. And some of that was due to the fact that I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to deliver that speech. And that alone that quick turnover was a lot of pressure that I ended up crumbling. Not a full crumble, but it was, in my opinion, pretty bad. But that's because it's me. So what I'm going to do in this video is Martin Luther King Day is tomorrow. And it is currently 5 o'clock Sunday. And by 5 o'clock Monday, I won't say this video will be posted, but I mean, that's going to be the goal. 24 hours to redeliver my Martin Luther King speech from 5 years ago. And I'm going to use the same speech. I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to see if it was as good of a speech as I actually thought it was, especially because I cooked that thing up in an afternoon. Granted, it was like 6-7 hours of an afternoon, and then editing based on how I was practicing the deliverance and giving myself inflection notes to help me when I was delivering the speech, just because I wasn't so comfortable with it. So giving me those points to help me know how to deliver something, and inevitably it did not go well. But this time we're going to see if my trials and tribulations of life in between these 5 years and my one public speaking course had any help or relevance to better suit me for a quick turnaround such as this. So it's time to get to editing. So this is what it is right here. This is the whole thing. It had annotations. Okay, 2 hands. We'll do it like this. It had annotations and things, but this is it. So now I'm going to dig into it and basically see how good it actually is, make some edits and things like that, and then I'll check in again. Okay, so I read it over, and overall, it's not terrible. It's not as good as I thought, of course, and the message motifs, of it aren't quite pungent enough. So I think that I have to sit down and adjust and think about exactly 5 years later, kind of, I understand the idea I was trying to get at then, but now it's the idea of how can I form that to actually being a cohesive message that flows and kind of makes you feel something. I think that this one's a little too, I don't know, depressing, and it's I guess I was trying to be provocative in some ways, but it doesn't quite hit the way that I know that I wanted to then reading it back now. So I'm gonna try to make some modifications, and I don't remember how long I got to say this, so I think I'm just going to read it through out loud, and however long it takes me to do that is about the time that I'll shoot for, staying in the realm of still, but just adjusting some of the things to make it more cohesive, make it just an all around better speech that kind of gets the idea across that I'm trying to portray instead of just more mumbling things that sound good, I guess, is what I was doing here. Trying to be clever, but without proper technique. I want to memorize it. That's that's a lot. We're going to try to memorize it, and because I'm not so shooken by the public speaking aspect of it, or the talking on camera, I guess, would be the equivalent to it. It's actually very interesting. I need to find a way to add more pressure on myself. And I think I may have an idea. It is cold. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check, check, 1. Check, check, 2. Check, check, 3. Oh my God, it is cold. It is pretty freaking cold right now. I definitely should have wore better shoes than this. Snaps. Feel like I should take one more step over. That feels right. Sun shining through the cloud is beautiful.
I couldn't memorize it, but here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Sanders.
And I am honored to join you on this day of remembrance of one of the most iconic figures in American history. 3 scores ago, a great American whose name we celebrate today shared words
That rang out as a beacon of hope
for millions of Black Americans seared by the flames of cruel and withering injustice. Those words arrived
like a jolt of energy, powerful enough to move the needle,
of progress. A needle that
pricked some people's conscience,
in a way they could not ignore. A needle that stitched up wounds, both spiritual and
physical,
holding the frayed seams of our nation together. A needle that helps
sew the fabric of the very man that I am
free to be able to be today. A needle that bound together enough hearts, enough minds to shift what then felt like an immovable mountain. Now,
6 decades later,
on this day of remembrance, we know that mountain to be movable. So much progress has been realized because of the work of Dr. King and his contemporaries.
but I stand here
To remind you of Dr. King's call for the fierce urgency of now. That call rings true in this hour in the same way that it did 60 years ago. It remains our duty, our
shared responsibility
to lift our communities from the quicksands of injustice onto the solid rock of unity. We must never grow complacent or overlook the
urgency of the
moment.
because the vision of the
1960s did not end in that era. Dr. King challenged us all, decades into the future, to keep building on the foundation that he and many, many others laid brick by brick. Why is Dr. King still significant today? Because on that August day in 1963, his glimpse into the future, only unwavering faith would allow him to see. He dreamt of a day where individuals could live, learn,
and work in the same spaces,
and not be judged by the tone of their skin, but by the content of their character. He believed in a day where unity would be more than just a dream, but a reality. Now, we could literally see with our eyes what he only could dream in his imagination.
Yet, we must not settle
for just seeing it. We must continue to strive until it is not
an exception, but the standard
for us to strive. Unity is that key that unlocks every door of possibility. And unity is what has carried us this far. If we remain united and never stagnant, we will continue turning distant hopes into concrete realities.
Thank you for allowing me to share
these reflections. May we honor Dr. King and his legacy, not simply by remembering his words, but by uniting together to fulfill them, even in today's tension-full environment.
Few may reach the summit
on their own, but united, we can make every hill and mountain low. So let unity ring.
This is definitely an improvement, but I don't know, maybe 5 years from now, I'll look back and say this is hot garbage as well. Well, not hot garbage, but unorganized garbage. Not,